Great, thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you, Leonella, and your colleagues for this great work and effort. It's really a very pleasure to be here and to listen to all the colleagues. It's really great. This presentation is done by both Lei and me. We have worked very close together on this case and the topic. And some of you have seen the presentation of the case earlier, so but maybe not the idea we will present here now. And we hope that we will have an article ready soon that can be maybe offered to landscape research. We will see where it goes, but this will be published also, we think. The title of the presentation is Heritage of a Place, Driving Force Analysis as the First Step of Integrated Management of Cultural Landscapes. So, yes, the idea or the start is that we today, in today's conservation management of cultural landscape, we have two common problems. The first is how to respond to the requirement of local development in a heritage place. And the second, how to integrate different values coexisted in a cultural landscape. The reason of the conservation development dilemma and of the fragmentation in heritage management is rooted in current conservation principles have focused on recognizing and keeping or enhancing values. And the goal of conservation is to maximize heritage values. When discussing from the value level, different interest groups often hold conflicting views, which may lead to the failure of consensus building. We therefore ask, what is the key to solve the dilemma of conservation and development, and to have an integrated landscape management plan? The structure of our presentation here is that we try to provide new perspectives to solve these integration problems, and we use the case Austrad Manor and the broader landscape at the peninsula Öland to illustrate the approach. So we first start very briefly with the driving force analysis. Then we use this approach in the case, and then we have a discussion and a short conclusion. First, we developed the new approach based on existing methods. Of course, we use specially, we have looked into many methods, but we looked basically at the landscape biography and the dive method. The landscape biography is very often used approach where we mainly look at all periods and all layers we can find in the case, and then get to know what happened and what are remembered and what are not. So this is very much layer based, and you can, this is just an illustration of one of our tables you can see to the right, where we go through all these different layers in landscape biography. I will save you for details now. I just briefly go on with the dive method. This is a method used very much in Norway, and it's developed here by a research institute many years ago, and it's used mainly for urban structures, urban architecture structures. It is called dive. It's describe, interpret, evaluate, and enable. And in this, with this method, we are able to discover what are thought to be important, how they are formed, and why they are important. So this is the different focus on the site. So we use these both methods. We collected data and studied the history of the place and combined both these methods at our case. We then analyze the data and identify features, events, people, things in different periods, and interpret how they have grown as such. And we try then to highlight the heritage at each period. So I will, and based on that, we uncover the driving forces and the key influences of these heritages in different areas or elements in the landscape. We then, in the end, tried, based on this driving force, different driving forces, we try to find a common theme in this site, in the place. So find the common theme. We are asking you a bit about the word or the term. We are not very happy with this, but this is the only thing we could agree on. So the common theme of the identified driving forces. The common theme exists in all selected time-space units. It is either the result of or the reason for the components in the time-space units. Under this common theme, all important components are interconnected through a bigger network, which allows space for new components to join in. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Very briefly, the case. This is the illustration, a picture from the main feature, we would say, in the landscape. It's the Austrad Manor from the 1650s. The current landscape today is more or less a 20th century landscape, so with some features where we have an idea that this is older or younger. We have this very strange pyramid to the right in the picture. We know that the owner in the 17th century, mid-17th century, started both the pyramid and the castle, and he built some gardens and hunting parks and so on. So there are different features from that time we know are from him. And he used ways, a great big area of the peninsula was owned by him. It was more than 20 square kilometers he used for different purpose, and agriculture and gardens and hunting park, as I said. And we just see some remains of it today. This is another picture from the landscape so that you get an impression how it is situated. And you see the sea in the horizon, and you see also the sea in the bottom right. So it's not very large, and it's in peninsula. This is where it is situated, mid-Norway. To the right, you see the municipality, the Ørland municipality, with the little islands to the left, and then the peninsula with the municipality center is the number 3, and then our little landscape is to the right with the number 1 and 2. Number 1 is the manor house, number 2 is the hunting park, and the more gray area is the area which was known in the ownership of this owner in the 17th century. So it was a big area, a large area. And then our challenge today is this little airplane you can see there, where the NATO has decided together with the Norwegian government to place a NATO airbase, the most north airbase in Europe at this peninsula. So this has huge consequences on our little landscape to the right. And this is the reason why we are involved here. And just to make it even more visible, the different layers and challenges and features we have here. This is the map from the 1880s we just used to illustrate some important elements. This is the manor house in the center, in the red mark here. And then we have an east garden and a west garden, and of course only remains. This is not intact. It's not really very visible, only for experts actually. Then we have the harbor, the main approach to the site in a long time, because roads were difficult, so they used the boats to get to the site. The farm to produce food for the estate and the people living there. We have the hunting park. Still there in some remains. We have the widow's seat on the left. And then, of course, we have these more green marks are from more or less 17th, 18th century. But then we have also older features like archaeology from Stone and Iron Age. It's dotted. The whole landscape is really full of these, and not all are uncovered either. And then we have younger features, like here is on the top of a little hill from the hunting park. There, it was used to build a gun in the Second World War there. And there were prison camps, and also in the Second World War, new roads were built and so on. This gun on the hilltop there is now also preserved by law, because it's the only, as far as I know, the only one left with a triple cannon gun, which is very special if you are interested in military heritage. And we have natural reserves close to the sea, both interesting for national on national level, but also international level, like Ramsar areas. And also our hunting park today is mainly preserved by Biodiversity Act in Norway. So it's not culture first of all, it's a natural reserve. And then we have the look in the landscape. We have connections from our estate out to other farms in the area, important for the manor house. There was the hunter lived there, or the fisherman for the estate lived in another direction. We have the church with graveyards and so on in the city center, in the center of the municipality. So there are important links to the broader landscape, of course. And it's the same with the natural reserves, that there are important links also to other reserves in the area we have to look at. And airbase, which is a new topic or a new feature in this. The airbase was actually started under the Second World War and was then extended, and now the NATO and the Norwegian government decided to place a huge airbase there. So this is, in addition, we have many stories, intangible values in the landscape. Stories related to Austrad and Ørland that is important for whole Norway as a nation too. So I will not go into the details here, but this is just also important to imagine in this context. So there are many layers, many stories, intangible, tangible, and we try to figure out how to solve that. And what we do now in our analysis is that we try to collect all these information to periods, and then we try to find out what is the common theme, what is the common idea here. And what we see is that in Ørland, the main importance is the strategical location of the peninsula. It was easy to live there and to occupy the land because it was ice-free for a long time. It's still ice-free. This is the reason why the military is also interested there. And so the island has this strategical importance, which we see as a common theme. So the common theme that constantly appears in all selected time-space units, Ørland and Austrad, is a strategic place of power, economically, politically, militarily, and ecologically. The driving force analysis method indicates that the new NATO airbase fits in the common theme and will be part of Ørland heritage tomorrow. So our suggestion is accept the changes, protect key areas of Austrad landscape, and preserve key evidences from the past carefully. Make the development plan based on the thorough consideration of historical, cultural, social, military, and economic interests, and use both professional and local knowledge of the site. So this is our suggestion based on what we have seen now. So in short, just to sum up, this is the last slide. To sum up, we first identified the heritage components by landscape biography studies, and then analyzed the driving forces behind heritage components, like time layers, disciplinary layers. In the end, we identified a common theme of the driving forces. This common theme is what should be protected, or say the heritage of the place, which can serve as a measure of decision making in development or conservation plans. So here we challenge the interpretation of values and suggest to lift up from values and see the site from a more holistic way by not sticking to certain boundaries. This may help achieve a broader sense of landscape and thereafter a holistic management. And to conclude, the key to solve the dilemma of conservation and development, as well as to achieve an integrated landscape management, is to understand the heritage side and find a common theme from various driving forces of the components that stay in the past and today and the future. And this common theme is, in our view, the heritage of the place. And it's not a concrete object or heritage in a narrow sense. Instead, it is an innate force, a process, or a network reflected in all intangible and tangible heritage features throughout the time. Thank you very much.